I realized I missed a bunch of intro slides, so I'm going to talk really fast now. So, because I don't introduce it at all, here's the backstory. There's this dude named, what the hell happened? Fucking Cheslock. All right, so I had a deck that was explaining all of this. Anyway, Pete Chesbot is a bot of Pete Cheslock, and I'm supposed to explain all the things that he says. So apparently, lines of code today is a thing to learn about DevOps, and that means that there are lines and lines and lines of code that we can't escape from ever. The whole point of the introduction, by the way, was to explain what I'm doing and what Pete Chesbot is, and I'm going to kill him for messing up my deck. So this one I love. It's Here Lies Pete Cheslock, stung by people's ability to hear something other than Pete. The thing you have to understand, because I didn't get to introduce it, is this bot takes the things that Pete has said and turns them into something arguably more understandably incoherent than Pete himself. I don't know what these are. Pete chose these for me from what the Pete Chesbot does. I like this one. It's nailed some soft-cooked eggs on the train, right? Again, he never actually tweeted these words together, but the bot figured it out. I'm actually super baked. This would have been far more appropriate at DevOps Days Rockies, I gotta say. I don't know how we feel about it here in Minneapolis. I'm not up to date on the laws here. I really don't know how many apples you're supposed to put in a pie, so I just put in 6.5 because I wanted to use up the rest. This is a really kind of interesting metaphor for tech debt now that I look at it, right? Where we're like, well, we bought this tool, so I guess we better use it. The meatball is about to happen. I know that Catherine believes DevOps is about cats. The truth of the matter from thought leader Pete Cheslock is DevOps is really about meatballs, and that's a thing to know. This is the most inside baseball talk of the entire thing. Generating PGP subkeys and detaching from the Commonwealth. So this is kind of, I guess, what you do when you don't like the way the election is going, or maybe you don't like the way the open source movement is going, and you're just going to go hide somewhere, but you need to be secure while you're doing it. This is so also funny because Pete used to work for Dyn, which DNS provider, so it says a good thing that DNS isn't fundamentally broken, or we'll have some shared secret keys and passwords. How do you even computer? That is, yeah. And then T-2 hours till I have leftover chopped liver at home, because you're going to end up, again, all of these are really metaphors for tech debt. You know, we're going to hit a point where I see this as actually kind of instructive about we're pushing this code, whether it's good or not. Pete is now in GIF format. If you've ever seen Pete give a talk, the truth of his thought leadership is really just being good at collecting a whole bunch of animated GIFs together. It's also kind of ironic that I'm snarking on him for that. And yeah, making the most fire hip-hop album of 2015. I'm really curious as to see how this got generated, because what was he saying in multiple statements that allowed this to happen? So it's really about collaboration, I think. Security is hard because of security. I see you there. That's SecOps right there, you know, really, security makes security hard, and they're watching. Excited that I have this extra hour to sow my OHs. So if you're not familiar with this bit of Twitter culture, OH means overheard. It's when you tweet something that you heard someone say, and so, you know, really the most important part of building your DevOps culture is just sort of anonymously tweeting weird stuff that your coworkers say. I can't use my new Amy until I just put some pulled pork on the rest of my leftover latkes. That may be a metaphor for maybe how long it takes to bake an Amy, I'm not sure. Shipped a ton of snow. You know, he lives in Boston, and you gotta ship something, so I guess this just means maybe that the weather gods use continuous delivery. You know, it's good enough for them, it's good enough for your industry. I don't want to live in this godforsaken hellhole that Parcel Search Library is part of my cheapo home ramen lunch. So he's raging about chef at the same time and conflating it with ramen. I don't really know how I feel about this, but the point is, I guess, we don't always believe it. Accidental bourbon sure seems to be holding up. This one speaks for itself, I think. How do you even DevOps without bourbon? But it's gonna be accidental bourbon. We deal with it as it comes. It's this is my favorite tweet that the bot made up. It's 2014 if you still think writing your own configuration management is indistinguishable from trolling. So, this is the pinned tweet on Pete Chesbot, and it freaked me out. Oh, this is the pin. Troubleshooting distributed systems without metrics is like a giant fuck you to any sort of reasonable ops. Right there, that's DevOps. Get that tattooed on your eyeballs. That's it. Thank you.